Yo, what up guys, it's Flark, and welcome to my new series that I will be calling Know Your Comp, or something way cooler, if I can think of it. But what we're going to do is we're going to take all of the S tier comps for DK, so the best comps for DK, and flesh them out as much as possible. That means playstyle, that means win conditions, talent choices, defensive understanding, when to peel, when to run, pretty much anything you can think of when trying to play a comp correctly and push rating with it. This was probably my most requested series ever, so I'm going to stick with a weekly upload schedule for this. That's going to be, I think we're going to go for Tuesdays, but I'll tell you on my Twitch or Discord or wherever you can find me when that weekly video is going to be uploaded, but I will stick with that. I actually have multiple videos recorded in advance, so I can upload them at that time and stick with the schedule. And the reason for that is because there's going to be a lot of videos in this series. My idea is that I'm going to do it for each spec. So Frost is going to get its entire set of videos, and Unholy is going to get its entire set of videos. Maybe we'll alternate, because I think Frost TSG and Unholy TSG play differently enough that we should just keep them separate and have them in separate videos. Same with Frost Windwalker DK and Unholy Windwalker DK. The playstyles for Frost and Unholy are so unique right now to each other that I really think it's worth just splitting that up and giving you good content for the spec that you play. Unholy is a little underplayed right now, so we don't have quite as much content out there for the comps to play, but we'll have all these videos fleshed out the best we can, and then when Unholy gets better late in the season or later seasons, like I'm predicting, you'll have this as a reference point, because I'm assuming the comps will still play the same, even if they give it some tuning passes or the meta slows down a little bit to make room for Unholy to rise again. So anyway, we won't talk too much more about it, but expect this video on my channel weekly, and I will post the day that we'll be having them everywhere that you can find me. So should be really exciting. But let's jump right into it, because we got a lot to talk about, and no need to spiel too much longer. And we're going to start with Frost DK, Boomkin, HPAL, the comp that I play. Currently at 3030, but 3200 MMR, so we should continue to push, continue to grind. I think this is a very valuable comp to start with because it's very underplayed. So you're not going to get any information for this really anywhere else. We have not queued into a mirror one time the entire season, and I've watched some streams and I haven't really seen anybody give this comp much play. So you're not going to have a lot of sources of information for it, and I think it's very powerful. So not only will this hopefully help all the people who'd like to try this comp and can't find the information anywhere, but it should also showcase how rep doesn't really equal viability. You know what I mean? But representation and viability are not a one-to-one. They help each other out, but it's not a one-to-one. If a class is low rep, it can still be very powerful. Even a comp that's low rep can still be very powerful because of all of the different things you can play in the game right now, in favorite of the month and streamer influence and all of this stuff contributing to what the most people play. That's not the whole story. But anyway, let's talk about what does make this comp so good, right? Because clearly we're having some success with it. And we're going to start with PvP taunts, because I think at the same time as talking through these, it'll also highlight one of the win conditions of the comp. And we're going to start with this one right here, Necrotic Aura. This is very important for the comp, and not just because boomies do magic damage and 8% more magic damage is good, but because of how we win games. We're winning games in a very short window where they either can't react or they have 3 seconds where they're just unable to press any buttons, but we have to win in those exact 3 seconds. A lot of classes and a lot of comps right now burst very heavily, so they're trying to set up those goes. But ours is very bizarre. They might be like just 1 or 2 big hits that win us the game, and you're actually going to see this. And when I go over the gameplay and show you guys how to play the comp, you're going to actually see exactly that. So it's going to be good. It's going to reference what I'm saying in visual form, which is great. But anyway, when you take a big 12,000 damage Star Surge and increase it by 8%, and then a big 9k Obliterate and increase it by 8%, you're giving yourself a much more likely chance of winning in those 2 globals or 3 very thick globals that you have to win the game. So we set up burst windows that are very fast, and this Necrotic Aura will help like pretty much increase the odds that we win in those windows. So Necrotic Aura, I actually don't switch out for any utility, not all, and you know there's a lot of good ones, right? Transfusion, Delirium, even Dark Sim. I don't switch this out for any utility PvP talent except for exactly Dome into exactly Fire Mage. So this is what my loadout looks like into exactly Fire Mage, because Combustion is really scary. Combustion is very short cooldown when they use the talents to make it shorter. Even after the nerf, it still can be shortened quite a bit. And that's a problem, because then it's very difficult to rotate defensives into it. So you need an extra defensive to help bridge the gap. So if you zone the first combust, and then your teammates panic and press every single defensive in the second combust, then you will have zone back up for the third combust. And that gives you enough chances to win the game. Imagine if you didn't have zone, then you would just have that one panic and nothing else, right? And instead of stopping 3 goes, you can stop 1. And that's very bad, because then the next one kills you. So zone into big zone into exactly Fire Mage, Necrotic Aura into everything else. And then Chill Streak and Heartstop are very, very default. I've seen against Wizards, sometimes maybe Chill Streak doesn't feel super good, but you can always really set up goes with this comp, because all you're worried about is the first couple of globals. So even if you're going healer, which we do, and I'll talk about it soon, even if you're going healer, you grip a DPS to the healer, you blind him, you stun him, you get the beam down, and then you press Chill Streak, and since you're trying to win in just 3 globals, those first 3 bounces that slow them and do a bunch of damage really, really helps with your win condition there. Heartstop is it's just so good. Even in a fast meta, again, I hear people say, well, it's really fast meta. Does cooldown recovery really matter when you're not playing dampening? Of course it does, because it affects rotational abilities. It affects your kick. It affects your mobility. It affects short defensives. It affects pillar. Look, imagine you're playing against a Frost DK, and they're a Frost DK, and he has Heartstop and you don't. And he has 1 minute goes, and you have 1 minute 20 goes. 1 minute 25. You're in trouble, because he's going to snowball pressure, because every single go, his is going to come faster and then more often, right? So Heartstop is just so important, even in a fast meta like this one. Just very, very good. And Chill Streak, like I said, I think you can always find a way to get goes, and I'll show that in the videos coming up. But I had the PvE talents on the board the whole time, right? It's on the screen right now. You can take a look. I never switch off of any of these. I have not switched off of any of these PvE talents through all of my push. So I can assure you that you can at least get to 3200 MMR without switching off these. If that's your goal, there you go. Now the big niche picks, right, generally, or the controversial picks, are blind and packed. It's like, well, what about Asphyx? What about Wraith? Do you ever choose those? And my answer is no. Wraith Walk, as a 1 minute mobility, I've seen a ton of people use it. I understand the power. But if you're just essentially saying, do you think you could win more games if you could break 1 route, because generally the fact that it can get rerouted, or the fact that you can't take any action during it, means you're essentially just using it as a route break, or if you can survive 1 scary moment. And the way our comp plays, it seems to be very good for me to survive a scary moment and stay aggressive and try and get a kill there, than to break 1 route. As for blind versus asphyxiate, blind's value of being a peel if you need it rather than a setup tool. A way to keep somebody low for my boomkin to set up, and then beams them, and then star surges 3 times. And as an AoE setup tool, the fact that it has so many modes that are so powerful in our comp makes it an auto pick. I've never switched off this talent, and I don't think I ever will. And I will show you some of the cool ways that I use it, again, in the video. The content coming up. So this is good. Instead of staring at Maldraxxus and talking the whole time, I have come prepared. We are going to watch the gameplay of this comp, and I will talk about it to explain how this comp really plays. So that should really help kind of visualize what I'm saying here. So first game we got here is a Turbo Cleave, right? Enhancement, Arms, HPAL versus us, Frosty K, Boomy HPAL. And let's talk about a few of the things before the match that we're going to be doing. First off, we go healers a lot. Like a lot. It's very, very good if you're trying to kill somebody in 3 globals, to kill somebody that has the least amount of defensives you have to go through before you can win the game, right? If we win Shaman, we have another big wall, a 40% wall from the Shaman, and Sack that we now have to get through in addition to the HPAL's already healing cooldowns and any off heals from the Enhancement Shaman. Because we're going him, it kind of gives them more things to rotate through, which slows our ability to get a win condition. If we go the HPAL and we're able to get his defensives, just a root or a clone on the Shaman, and effectively we've neutralized most everything we need to kill the H-Pal in a short window. Also, if you're going healer, and you lock them down, you can kick them, you can beam them easily, you're on top of them, you can grip their next cast, you can lock them down much more easily. So in a 3-second window where you're trying to win the game, you have so many options for making sure that they can't recover. So we go healer a lot. So let's take a look at this opener right now against Turbo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start really fast. I'm going to start really fast in this game. I'm going to try and press everything as soon as possible because Turbo does a lot of damage. And what value the boomkin brings is that he's not stacked up for their triple, Kyrian, nuke. Everybody gets CC'd and disrupted, sundered, chain harvest, right? So if my boomkin's in stealth, then I get free reigns to do the go first because they don't have a chance to do their go until the boomkin is out of stealth or on top of them. Right now I think Supa is coming in because I'm saying let's go H-Pal, let's go H-Pal, let's go H-Pal. But that doesn't mean he's going all the way into their team and stacking a melee range and they don't have grip like we do, right? So regardless of whether or not he's in stealth in the opener, they still have the problem of, hey, they get to do their go first, and that allows us to snowball pressure. So take a look at this. A-Bomb Limb's going to come down right now, and Pillar, first global, and he gets the triple root. They really shouldn't have stacked for that. So we're already in the best situation ever, right? I've got my A-Bomb Limb down. All 3 guys are around me. I've got Pillar out, and I'm setting up damage. So what's going to happen here is they're going to get yoinked around by A-Bomb Limb. I'm going to grip the Paladin manually by myself with Death Grip. Then I'm going to blind, I think, Shaman, Pally, maybe even all 3 if I get it. But then the A-Bomb Limb will pull the 3rd target that's not in yet, since you can clearly see as freedom. And we're going to set up a perfect AoE go right now. I actually don't remember this game, but I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen looking at the screen right here. Yes, so Fear, I'm going to break it with Lichborn, pull him in manually, and blind, just like expected. So right now you can already see this is looking like a game-winning situation, right? So A-Bomb's Limb is down. That's clearly going to pull this warrior. You can see he's right on the range that A-Bomb Limb can pull in. I got the manual grip on the H-Pal, like I said I would right here. Grip is used, and it blinds both of these guys. Supatese, like I said, stays pretty far away. My Boomkin stays pretty far away, and they don't get to immediately do a go, because I don't have a grip to pull him in, and thus I get mine go off first, and we're already starting ahead. Now he's going to beam. He's going to beam the H-Pal on my stun, and he's going to send all the Star Surges that he has. Beam makes it so the Shaman can't off-heal, the H-Pal can't wall. He also can't heal, obviously. Of course, it stops anything that they want to do besides, like, trinket, bubble, get out of there, press everything and live. So what we're going to try and do is get everything in the opener here, which not only stops their go, but also gets all the defensives we need to set up a win condition later. So, let's see how that goes. A-Bomb Limb pulls the warrior in. Won't point at the screen because you can't see that. Blind on the Enhance and the H-Pal is going to turn into an AoE stun on all 3 of them. And then Chill Streak is going to come out, and we're probably going to get Bubble. AoE stun comes down, Beam is out, Star Surge comes in from the almighty Boomkin himself, and that is Divine Shield. So, that's what a perfect go looks like from Boomkin DK. You start fast, you get your A-Bomb Limb down as soon as possible because it's going to yoink all these guys in to make sure you get triples. You use your manual grip on the priority target, in this case H-Pal. You blind the priority target to the nearest target if all 3, you get all 3. And then of course you AoE stun all 3 in a root beam with a Star Surge, gets Bubble every time. Now what? You've got Bubble. You're probably going to get Wall and Rally because you can just swap over to the Warrior who's 60% health over here, and he's still got Star Surges, and you've still got Pillar, and still got A-Bomb Limb, so you're probably going to get Parry as well, which means you've got effectively every defensive that you really care about, which means you have to live. You're going to have to throw out all of your defensives, your peels, your survivability, because you've effectively won the game now. If you don't use all your defensives and you die with defensives up, then you will have just thrown away a game you could have won because maybe you were panicking. You didn't want to say, I can't use all my defensives at once, or we'll lose later. Don't think like that. You've now set up a win condition where the game is going to be over as long as you live. So you're going to use everything you can to get to that next go in a minute 30 or a minute, depending on how you play it, and I'll show that as we go. So, switch over to the Warrior. He parries instantly because he's terrified of my Boomkin. Fair enough, I would be too. And now we start playing defensive. So Def's Advance comes out with the freedom. Great play from my H-Pal, right? Do everything you can. Your H-Pal can freedom. Now your Boomie's going to start CCing. I use Def's Advance to get out of the Kyrian Spear. Here's that Spear. You guys know it very well. Def's Advance gets me right out of that. The freedom is going to take me away from their counter go. This is Hero. He's going to pop Ascendance. There's the wall. They're going to try and counter pressure with as much as they possibly can. And that's what we have to stop right now. So, here we go. Here comes clones, right? Let's pause this up. Here's what he's going to do. We're going to chains. We're going to root. He's going to clone. He's already thrown his disarm. He got a trinket on the clone. Let's go back just a little bit here. Oh, it's really hard to go back a little bit here. So yeah, okay. So trinket is down. So he trinkets the clone there. Supa threw a disarm out on the enhancement shaman as well. Use everything that you can. Disarm is dispellable from boomkin. But if you get a dispel, then you can root. If you get a freedom on the chains, then you can root later. There are just lots of things that you can rotate through. Disarm, clone, chains. They have stops for it, but eventually they'll be stuck, and you can peel yourself and survive to the next go. H-Pal throws out Bop as well. You're like, and I use my Sack Pact, right, for my pet. You're saying this is a lot of stuff you're rotating through. We get scared about pressing all of our defensives at the same time because, you know, then we won't have anything left. It's Shadowlands Season 1. Burst is extremely high. You don't have to worry too much about popping everything to their everything. You need to live. So, big heals from our Holy Paladin. There's another clone on the Warrior right here. This is the type of play that's perfect from my Boomkin. Supati's an extremely good player, of course. This is the type of play that's keeping me alive right now, right? Where he says, this is their everything. I clone, don't touch. Don't break roots, just run. Keep moving. Doesn't matter. He's got Ghost Wolf. They've got freedom. They can stay on us. But as long as there's enough disruption and enough defensives popped, we'll live through this go. So now I'm going to pull the H-Pal in. This is a pretty okay play to constantly grip the healer in and disrupt him. If you can ever get him low and pop something on not a go, then of course that's going to make it so much easier to win when you have Pillar back up. Right here, I gripped him in because I think we're going to come in for a Hodge. And maybe try and bait something, try and get his trinket, because, you know, what we just did to him in the beginning of the game, obviously, is going to be terrified of our damage. So baiting a trinket might be easier than you would expect. And here comes the H-Pal for the Hodge, right? So we're going to, after that first AoE stun where we're AoE stun and beam and we clearly get everything, it's time for the H-Pal to play aggressive with you, right? He's going to have to come in for Hodge every time you have a kill window because you don't have AoE stun up for another minute. So right here, trying to soften him up a little bit. Did not bait his trinket, so Supati's is going to clone him low. Right here at about half health. I do remember that one. And I say, good clone low, right? Because here's a chain harvest on me. I have to kite. I have to survive. This is terrifying. We might have to throw out Sack. We might have to throw out the last of our cooldowns. I use Pact to make sure I don't just literally get executed there. You can see my Death Pact comes out. I was talking about how that talent is good. It definitely clearly saved me there. So I cannot play aggressive on the H-Pal right now. So cloning him low gives us a chance to resume that pressure in 5 seconds, or again, bait a trinket, which he's not going to do here because he's a good player, and it would be pointless to trinket clone here. But it does give us a chance to swap back since I clearly can't play aggressive right now or I'm going to die. There's my Pact that does in fact save me. Perfect chains root on this guy, right? He finally gets freedomed once the H-Pal comes out of the clone. Another reason why that clone low is good, because he couldn't give the freedom to the warrior in time, and the warrior was completely off me, which helps me shed their damage. So I'm staying alive. Eventually, my cooldowns are going to come back up. 15 seconds on blind. I still have IBF, pillar in 10. We're going to try and set up things now individually of each other. So in the first go, we pressed everything at the same time and got everything we needed. Now we're just going to do stuff as it comes up to snowball pressure. We need to get his trinket, and we need to keep him low. So I'm going to blind them to peel and to play aggressively. I'm going to chill streak to do damage whenever there's something stacked. And I'm going to use pillar the second it comes up. I will also probably IBF fairly aggressively just because they're always doing damage to me, so it becomes a good wall. I'll probably use it to get out of a stun. So let's take a look. Here comes the H-Pal running in for a Hodge, so I will definitely IBF if I get stunned here. And let's see. I'm sitting up on the H-Pal right now because I know yep, there it is. Perfect. So I'm setting up on the H-Pal right now, because I know everything's about to come up, and I'm saying, get to the H-PAL, get to the H-PAL, we need to get Trinket here, we can win the game. I also IBF the stun, because my H-PAL is Hodged, and this will give me plenty of time to stay on the H-PAL, and for him to get a big Divine Favor heal on me. So here comes that. So I'm totally fine now. They're panicking, because we're sitting on an H-PAL who has nothing. He's used his wall, right? That's part of the panic, because they're scared about getting set up on. He only now has Trinket. So let's see, I'm assuming I'm going to go for a triple blind right here, because this is a perfect time. Yes, so I grip the H-PAL back and get a triple blind. What this does, of course, is stop anybody from peeling for him, stop anybody from getting pressure on me, which means we get to just freely tee off on the H-PAL with all of our damage and just try and get something out of him. He will probably run in for the Hodge on this. I'm communicating with my H-PAL. I get the blind. All we have to do is throw out a beam, maybe a Hodge, and just get pressure. We'll get Trinket 100% of the time. So let's take a look at that. Here comes the beam. Here comes the pillar. H-PAL runs in, gets the Hodge, and he has to Trinket. So if you've been keeping up with it up to this point, what have we gotten from the H-PAL? Bubble, wall, we've gotten parry, Sham wall, and Trinket. H-PAL has nothing. The next time we get to connect on this guy, he's dead. And we do not even have to do it in a minute with all my cooldowns up. If Boomkin sends 3 Star Surges, and he pulls up his power, and I have Chill Streak or any amount of damage at all, even a Killing Machine proc that I got Stray, we can just call for the Hodge, and the H-PAL can't do anything. He will die. So right now it's up to us to live for like 45 seconds. And that's pretty much all we're going to do now. We're going to live. He's going to give me freedom. I'm going to press Death Strike every single global. And my Boomy is going to press every single button that peels for me. That was the Reflect, so he'll probably be looking for clones. I'm just walking my character back over to my H-PAL. You can see I just need to find my H-PAL, and we need to just play defensive. I still know he has Bubble Sack, so as long as we just play defensive here, we should be fine. Perfect route right here on the Enhancement Shaman. Just looking for things to Death Strike. That helps my H-PAL stay stable. And it's just really stopping all their pressures. Again, clones, roots, chains, movement. Stay alive. We know we're going to win, so we just have to stay alive. And the clones and the roots are fantastic from my Boomkin. His awareness very, very high. So I grip this guy back in. That is Kyrian. This is their last scary thing. In this case, if I got low, I would say just sack. Just sack, bubble, do anything you can, because this is their last scary go. The H-PAL is dead. I pulled him in. I'm going to press chains here. He's off DR, right? He has no Trinket, and my Boomy has just been cloning, so he's pulled all of his Star Surge, all of his Astral Power. So the H-PAL's dead, effectively. I'm chainsing him on his way to our H-PAL, so he can't come in for the Hodge, and of course we do have Bubble Sack. And the second we pull up damage for the Hodge, it's over. AoE stun, actually, interesting. So that's also a fantastic play, because look, none of these guys have Trinket. Not the play I expected us to make. I don't remember too much about this video, but it's really fun to watch it again. So no Trinket, no Trinket, no Trinket, AoE stun. This might actually kill too. He gets a clone on the Warrior, which makes Safeguard not an option, even out of the AoE stun. There's a Star Surge getting pressure. He's going to clone him, right? Okay, good. So here's what happens in this one. This is a more advanced setup for a win here. But if you can communicate if your Boomy can be Super Tease and understand, just have the awareness to see the win condition, he swaps the clone from the Warrior over to the H-PAL when he goes for the Safeguard, clones him at half health here. Now my Chill Streak is going to come back up. He can pull 2 more Star Surges, and the H-PAL is going to come out of clone at half health because nobody can heal him and he doesn't have bubble to get out of it. So the second after this clone ends, if my H-PAL hodges, we end the game. That's a pretty advanced one, right? But rotating clones, what's the takeaway point from this? Make sure you do goes all the time. That AoE stun ended up working with our Boomkin's great clone low to end up being the game-winning play. Don't just save everything. You don't need to pillar and A-bomb limb and AoE stun and chill streak all at the same time every single time. AoE stun comes in here, sets up a go. He's going to get half hodged, and look what's up in 3 seconds. That's chill streak up in 3 seconds with a very low H-PAL who's going to be hodged with no trinket. You can use your cooldowns not all at the same time to constantly apply pressure, because at any time your Boomkin can hit somebody for 12,000. And that's what's going to happen here. as soon as that clone ends. There's a grounding, doesn't matter. Clone is still on him. The Hodge comes in, and of course, Warrior's on top of him. This guy's going to get chill streaked. All three of us are going to be sending damage, and the Enhancement Shaman cloned. Perfectly stops all the off heals. He's got no trinket for 23 seconds. Bobo nuke over there from Bleeding Hollow. There is nothing he can do to prevent his H-Pal from dying here. I'm predicting a dead Paladin. Chill Streak comes out. Star Surge comes in. Every single one of us are doing damage, and that's the end of the game. So, a lot of crazy stuff to digest there. One of the biggest takeaways, I would say clone is an amazing button, especially if you have one of the best boomkins in the world pressing it for you. In the segment of that go, we cloned the Warrior on AoE stun to slow down the intervene. We cloned the H-Pal low on the intervene. We hodged out of that and then switched the clone to the Enhancement Shaman so he couldn't off-heal. Chill Streak off of Pillar on the H-Pal and Warrior and finish him off with all three of us. So yeah, biggest takeaways. Clone is a very good ability. Peel for yourselves when you don't have Pillar. Just run, chains, kite, Death's Advance, AMS. Use your defensives, run away, use Clone. And the third, and the biggest one for Frost DKs everywhere who've been asking me this, don't feel the need to always save everything for every single button to be pressed at the same time. A-Bomb, the first go, probably should be every single button pressed at the same time. But then you can use Chill Streak outside of Pillar, outside of A-Bomb's Limb. If you're constantly getting pressure and setting up, and AoE stun, which we saw right there, ended up being really, really beautiful in that moment. Great play from us. You can use these things desynced if they have no defensives to keep the pressure up and to keep them on the back foot until they eventually die to a 12k Star Surge from downtown. And that's the first matchup. So let's take a look then. I think the next one is Windwalker DK, which will be great against the champion himself. That should be the next game in this VOD. Still trying to remember how this queue session went. There it is. Yeah, so that is cdew, Mez, and Trill. This is going to be an interesting one. And then the third one is a totally different. I'm going to run it the healer again here, but then the third game that we play is totally different from these two. So stick around for that one because it's really important to see that win condition, I think. But here, I don't want to get cleaved, right? If I sit on the 2 melee, they're cleaving me and the Boomkin, and they have Trill on their team. So we would lose that matchup if we just get cleaved to death. Trill does more damage than like anybody in all of the entire planet. So sitting on top of a Frost DK, namely Mez and Trill, is a situation you never want to put yourself in. But even if you're not queuing into those names, sitting on top of Frost DK Windwalker is not a situation you want to put yourself in. So I'm going to run at the healer the entire game. It stops me from getting Heartstopped Aura'd, it stops them from cleaving, and it stops them from getting cooldowns outside of goes. So we always have a trinket or a wall for their big AoE one-shot, and you're going to see that in this game. So let's take a look. I'm going to run straight at cdew from start to finish, and I'm telling you that right now because that is the strategy that we call. I do some setups to peel, but really what I do is I just play at the shaman. So let's watch us do that. First go I think is pretty powerful. So we chains both on their way over here, and I immediately grip blind, right? So I don't even care that I don't get the DK here because their goes are so terrifying. Windwalker DK is so terrifying that you need to just stop them from doing it from second one. I press chains on the DK. I already got his movement here, it looks like. His Wraith Walk. You can kind of see him in that ethereal form down there. And then I said, that's enough, right? You can kind of DK, you're a Boomkin. Let's just set up our go. So grip cdew in, immediately blind him and Trill. Should be enough to stop them from doing their go first. AoE stun comes out, and then beam, just like we did against the H-Pal, right? Blind, AoE stun, beam, pop everything. On this one, I did not get to A-Bomb's Limb beforehand because I know how disgusting it would be if they set up first. So instead, I just used my first global on grip. I know we have to get cdew. He can ground my grip. He can stay max range for my grip. Trill was right there. That was the best time to do it. So that kind of shows you how situational decision making is so important in any comp, but especially this one. So now we set up a go here. There's A-Bomb Limb. He's going to pull me over and blind. I trinket it because I don't want to lose all of my initial pressure, but that ends up forcing my IBF as well. So that's one of those situations where it's probably worth sitting the blind until they sweep for IBF. But I was worried that he would sit on the blind if I didn't trinket. And I would effectively lose every single burst cooldown that I had, right? Pillar, A-bomb limb, everything going out right now. Losing all of our pressure that way, because we already got Shaman's Wall from the our initial stun go. If I can also get pressure on Trill here, because he's still got Star Surges to send, that's a huge benefit to us. So using Trinket and IBF, not something you generally want to do. But in this one case, as soon as I hit this guy very hard, you can see it ends up, because Mez is smart, and he can make me sit the entire blind. If I sit that entire blind, I lose all my go. So what is the learning point here? If you have every single CD in the game popped, sometimes it's good to commit something in order to make sure that you still get it going, right? If I sat that full blind, that would lose a lot of pressure that I would not have gotten to take Trill to 20% health over here. Remember, as HPAL, you have 2 bops, so you can get out of sweeps. It's possible that you will be able to still actively rotate your defensives, even if you use things early, which against 2 of the highest damage players in the game, using defensives early is not necessarily a bad thing. And that gets Karma. So I'm going to swap back over to the Shaman, and I'm going to sit on him for most of the game, except for when I get peeled. We got Karma, we got Diffuse, and we got Shaman's Wall. Now it's time to just stay alive and apply pressure to the Shaman for the rest of the game. I want to stay away from these guys best I can. Or peel them when they're moving, like when they're moving away from me. He's doing the same thing. You saw Mez probably saying the exact same thing. I want to stay away from this guy. You saw him walking away over there. I'm going to peel and then swap back to the Shaman as soon as I can. We're sending damage pretty much at everything, but I grip cdew in and I swap over to him, and that is where I go. cdew, as a great player should, grounds, I think, Zillia's Hodge here. But Supa doing a good job with the Disorient. We get tripled, but I'm out of it. They're just going to have to use their defensives and spread. We stopped their go for long enough where it seemed like, yeah, I mean, right, he did not have A-bomb's limb. He did not have damage going for this go. So you can see I'm at full health, Zillia's at full health, and Supatiz is at full health. And that's during their go. You can see the Glacial Advance, the AoE stun. But they didn't get a lot of pressure out of it. That's kind of the power of going first. That's why my decision to grip cdew first global and just be like, I'm just going to go, even though you're not stacked up, ended up stalling them long enough, or we got the better hand of this opener. We got Wall, we got Karma, we got Diffuse, we got Wraithwalk. They are not even hitting my players below full health right now. Supa and Zillia just spread from that chill streak, and we stay triangle. So this is where the strat is really going to come into fruition, right? You see full health, full health, full health. None of us are stacked. I'm not sitting on DK or Windwalker, which means they can't cleave me. And they just have to single target either our Boomkin or our HPAL. And if they go our HPAL, Boomkin clones the entire game. If they go our Boomkin, he sits bare. And I'm just going to sit and chase after this Shaman. Now, he gets a better hand of me, mechanically, because he's cdew, and he's one of the best players in all of WoW. So I get juked. I guess my advice would be don't get juked. Wild explanation there. But, you know, he gets me on that one. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stay away from these two and not get cleaved. It's going to be a little bit of a boring game because I'm going to walk at the Shaman the entire game. Throw chains out randomly when he needs it. Otherwise, just stay away so they don't get win conditions. And of course, a really good presser point is Supa and Zillia's synergy, where Supa is saying, okay, I'm dragging him behind the pillar here, hodge him behind the pillar. And every time he does that, they have a chance to just 2v1 him while I'm soloing cdew. And trying to heal 2 people at the same time is actually very difficult in this meta because burst is so high. So you can see he hodged him behind the pillar. He had to come in for the Dispel. Dispel is not a healing button, which means he's getting lower and lower. Trill dips to half health. He's running away now, which stops pressure on my Boomkin, so the Boomkin can tee off or survive. And then what I do here is another interesting way to use blind, right? This is one of the modes that I said for the talent. Blind here takes him. He's at half health. I can just literally let him sit for a little bit of this and have my Boomkin say, I could talk now. I could communicate to my team and say, hey, he's half health. Can you send a surge here? We can maybe kill, or we're going to try and get him low. So I get a killing machine and proc that. I hit him, and then we get the beam right, and he's sending a surge. So that blind allowed my Boomkin to get set up, I got a killing machine proc in it, which was really lucky. Then I throw that. He throws down the beam. He can't cast anything, and the surge is going to come out. I think it's going to take him to pretty low. There's the chill streak being thrown. Oh, he dipped to about 30% from that. My chill streak comes out, and we got zone out of it. So a defensive cooldown after a single target blind, because we were able to keep him low for my boomkin to kind of get over there and apply some pressure. Really interesting play there, and worked out for us. Now he's going to ring us as well. So zone and ring to stop cdew. They were a little scared there. Great play from them. Makes sense. And he jukes me. So that's Stam Trinket from cdew, zone, and ring. So we're getting a lot of defensives out of them, which enables my win condition soon, which we'll see. And it's very funny. But again, Windwalker, rotting, DK, rotting, Shaman, rotting, using defensives because we're not stacking and we're just applying split pressure that's very difficult to heal through. Just the strat coming to fruition. Worked out well for us. cdew staying low. Cannot heal. He can't kite. And here's... I've talked about this so much, but I'm going to talk about it again. Look at what's going on, right? I'm hitting... This is no pillar. To all the people who are like, yo, Frosty K, no damage outside of pillar. We never kill anybody. I just sit there and auto-attack. 0 pillar. No A-bombs limb. cdew, one of the best healers in the game, at 31.1% health, right? Because the strat sometimes trumps other weaknesses of your spec or comp. And right now, because he can't just sit Ghost Wolf and kite me like he wants to, because Trill is taking damage, getting hodged behind pillars, getting kited really far away, getting star surged, he has to come out and heal. But every time he comes out and heals Trill, then I'm hitting on him again, right? So he's constantly Ghost Wolf, then heal, then Ghost Wolf, then heal, and it's just really disrupting. Those are globals that he's pressing that aren't saving him. So it's really disrupting his ability to live. And I stun him super low here and scream about it because I'm like, we can win! And what do we get? Trinket Ascendance. So another single stun, right? I was only going to stun cdew there. We also got the IBF out of the DK. As the dragon has a long range, right? So I had a single blind in this game and a single stun in this game. And I got zone, ring, and stam trinket. And then I got a trinket ascendance out of the shaman, right? That's how situational awareness changes games. There's no always. Do you always set up AoE blind goes? Do you always wait for this to come up before you do that? No. The game changes and you have to adapt to it. cdew is at 30% health, trying to heal Trill, who's half health around the across the entire map. So I stun him low and get every cooldown that we need to win the game. Zilia is going to come in for a Hodge, which I think gets grounded. No, he doesn't come in. cdew does ground his Hodge one more time during this game, though. So now we just play a little defensive, and we know that we've gotten everything out of cdew. And we got everything out of cdew before Pillar and A-Bomb Slim comes up in 15. So in 15 seconds, I'm probably going to do too much damage to heal through. Spoiler alert. And that's going to give us a win condition. Right here, this is smart, right? This is very good. This is their panic. We've got to do something. We've got to win the game. They do a grip, blind, stun. And like I said, look what we have to rotate through. This is why you can use your stuff aggressively, because you'll have a lot of cooldowns to go through and you don't want to waste opportunities, right? You don't want to hold Trinket the entire game when you have other things that Trinket. Look, here comes the bop on Supa and my Trinket. And we Trinket the leg sweep, bop the leg sweep, and just run apart from each other. Supa's going to run this way, I'm going to run that way, and their entire go is thwarted. And I didn't have to hold Trinket the entire game to do it. Once again, I grip Shaman in. I'm going him the entire game. We root him in the middle of the map. Judgments are coming out. A-Bomb Limb in 4 seconds. And I don't know how you heal through A-Bomb Limb when you've already popped every single defensive in the game. He's going to have to use grounding to ground the Hodge, which is not a global that heals him. And he gets 100-0 by Frosty K behind the pillar. So all of the strat calls and the situational choices during that game lead to that ending. Now, again, cdew, an extremely mechanically sound player, probably outplayed me. He juked every single one of my kicks and ground my H-Pal's Hodge at the end. But unfortunately, because of the strat and the way that it rotted out their cooldowns before I pressed anything, that grounding global ended up killing him. Because, I mean, he would have died to the Hodge anyway, so he has to ground. It's a very smart play from him, and he did what he needed to do. But pressing grounding there was not a heal, and I had him in execute range for Obliterate, so ends up dying. So that's a crazy game. That shows how sometimes strat really does help. Even if, you know, there he is. Guy, I did not land a single kick on him. Very, very difficult to do so. So that's a good game. That's a good game. That's a good game to highlight all of the things that I care about the most, which is understanding. Let's see if we can get on to the next one. Perfect. Understanding situational decisions. How there's no always in PvP. How sometimes you just blind one target if that's exactly how the game is played out and you think you can do something that wins the game. In my situation, I said, he's low health. My boomkin can pull up astral power and then beam him. Can we get cooldowns out of them? The answer was yes. I stunned cdew at 30%. We can win here. He has to Trinket Ascendance. What does he do? Trinket Ascendance, because otherwise he would have died to the Star Surge. These are the types of situational decisions that you want to make. But finally, for the third game and the last game, because this video is probably already going long, we have a totally different win condition. Because this is good old Ret Pally Arms Warrior against Vanguards. This is hard. Well, I can't just run at the HPAL from start to finish. I can hit him a lot, but we end up getting a kill in a totally different way. And this will show kind of the power of the on-demand damage that this comp has. But we have to peel, we have to live, and we have to apply pressure and crazy AoE stun goes. But this is not easy. We could have lost this game 100 times over. You'll see how much of a panic this is. So first, I'm going to run in there. I'm going to chains, and I'm going to set up the go that we've been setting up every game. So I pull Ret in on this. We're really just looking at the HPAL in the start, it looks like. Casting a Flash of Light at half health. You can see A-Bomb's Limb and Pillar in the opener with Boomkin does so much damage that I think we don't get the triple that we're looking for. And it ends up, we both went for the, we get sack from the Ret. Okay. So what ends up happening here, this is a very bizarre opener. And I'm glad that I picked this, this game because it's very bizarre. So, Ret Freedom Steeds immediately. He's Vanguard's great player. Freedom Steeds immediately out of my A-Bomb's Limb. And actually gets far enough away that I just decide to just say, let's go HPAL. With the beam and the A-Bomb's Limb and everything going, we should be able to get Trinket. What happens, though, is because I stun him to try and keep him in the beam, and it goes across the map over to up here where you can't see it anymore, we end up getting all 3 trinkets. So that's a very good start for us. And, of course, the Ret sacks the HPAL to prevent some of that damage. So an opener that wasn't pristine, but as long as you commit to it and throw out things that you need to throw out to still get cooldowns out of them, Boomy DK does so much damage that with a perfectly timed dragon to stun all 3 of them off the screen here, you can still get every trinket in the game, which we did. So now we're just going to panic, because now it's time for the Ret Warrior to do the exact same thing and absolutely destroy our HPAL. So it's time to peel, probably. Time to peel. So there's clones. There's Shatter. He's going to get it. I still have my defensives, but that doesn't really matter because they probably should run at Zilia the entire time. At this point, what happened in this game, even though I say we need to go Ret most of the game, is he said stay on the HPAL, Supa did. And I'm just going to clone these guys over and over, right? Because we ended up getting all 3 trinkets in the beginning, which is great for Supa, because if I stay on the HPAL and stop him from being able to spell roots and freedom roots, then we just have to go through Vanguard's freedom, and then we can CC them for an eternity, right? Because if they have no trinket and no freedom, root, clone, right? So he said, stay off these guys. I don't want you breaking roots. I don't want you attacking into clone. Stay off these guys. Don't get cleaved to death, and I'll just peel. So that's what ends up happening right here. So once again, Frosty K sitting on the HPAL. Frosty K sitting on the healer. How exciting. Right here, now we're able to change. This is perfect. HPAL gets up top. This is good. Just good use of the map design. This is a very bizarre map. I don't like it personally. Z-Axis has never been a Frosty K's best friend, but in this case, we're able to use this very, very well. HPAL freedoms himself. we're able to slow this warrior as H-Pal gets around. Now he's just getting soloed by the Ret, which is not generally a win condition because the warrior applies Mortal Strike and has Sharpen and all of these very, very powerful tools. As long as we can keep the warrior off of him for a while, it should keep our guy alive. And there he is down there. So warrior stuck in no man's land with chains on him. This is an ideal situation for peeling, right? Again, pillar in 10 seconds. You're waiting for your go. None of them have trinkets. What are we doing? Root, chains, clone. We've heard this story before. Hopefully this video bakes those ideas into your head. Root, chains, clone. Warrior is stuck down there. He has to leap up, and of course we're going to do the whole thing again, and he won't have leap. Or we can knock him. Supatees plays Typhoon, knocks him off, right, and now we won't have leap for it. That might be another play that's going on. Looks like I blind both to peel. Again, if they have no trinket and our H-Pal's ever in trouble, you can use all of these CC effects to peel rather than to apply pressure, because as long as your H-Pal lives, you can keep finding win conditions on their Holy Paladin who, again, does not have trinket. So I blind here. We're going to clone out of it right here on Vanguards and stop the go on Zilia. And now he's looking for the juke, and he gets me. Unfortunately, very difficult to kick H-Pals who are good at the game like Ron Paul is when you're the only one on them, because they could just juke forever and ever and ever, and probably going for it there was the mistake. I probably should just let him juke me over and over, and then eventually I get pressure. Apparently I'm getting pressure regardless, but they're also going to set up on Zilia right here. You can see the wings coming out. This is a bloodbath, both players. He's going for peels, I'm going for damage on Ron. Barung is going to top himself, and Vanguards is going to get hodged. So another situation where you find me attacking the healer while they're doing everything to peel the DPS, and we're trying to rot them with boomkin dots, frost fever, and just explosive star surges and hodges. So Zilia hodges this guy behind the pillar while I'm sitting on Ron. Still no trinkets. Clones are coming out, and gets a sack there. So now he's taking sack damage as well, which gets bubble. So after all that, not only did we peel the go from our positioning and the fact that I'm not getting cleaved, we also get bubble because Vanguards gets hodged and then star surged, which makes Ron Paul sack him, but I'm still sitting on Ron Paul. So he doesn't get to freely heal himself behind the pillar and deal with the sack damage, so he actually has to bubble as well. Very good situation for us. Of course, this game is still scary the entire time because holy cow, they do a lot of damage. So now it's again time to play defensive. I use my pillar in there to get pressure during the sack. This is Kyrian Spear. Zilia's an enormous amount of trouble, and the triple knock comes in. Ron just barely hangs on, but hopefully the H-Pal doesn't kill our H-Pal. And again, getting their mobility earlier mattered a lot now because they're knocked. They have to freedom back up, but the leap doesn't matter, and Diz is just stuck down here. So the completely stops the go on Zilia. Fantastic play from the Boomkin. Using the map to your advantage is very good. Grip the H-Pal in so he can't do too much to recover. Because we still really want to keep him low now that he doesn't have bubble. He could be a kill at any time. But again, just trying to live. Death striking. Vanguards gets pushed behind the pillar. I'm coming in deep. Realize that that's too much of a problem. Come back, right? You see the Ret and Warrior. They're done with my H-Pal since I've been sitting on this guy the whole time. They swap to me and I immediately stop doing what I'm doing. So that should be a very obvious point. But I guess the teaching point for those, don't just stick to the strat that had been working if the situation changes. The Ret and Warrior swap off my H-Pal because they're sick of me sitting on their H-Pal. I immediately get off that guy for a second and get into line of sight of my Holy Paladin, because if I had just sat there and been like, you told me to go H-Pal, I'm going to go him, it was working before, then I would have just gotten shredded behind that pillar right here and probably killed immediately. So would have been a bad look. So instead, I come back. He clones the Ret Pally. I'm looking for some heals. Right now I'm saying to Zilia, just get me one heal, I can kill this guy. Get me one heal, I can kill this guy. See that? I stayed. We got the clone out. I floated in between this area. I still wanted to keep chains on the H-Pal because I said, I swear I can kill this guy. Pillar came back up. I have everything. I really want to do my damage here. But I had to stay floating in this range while pressing chains on the H-Pal to make sure that my healer could get a full heal on me, since he had it available. And now, my health is full. I did not walk meaninglessly behind the pillar and die, and I can now apply my pressure. So A-Bomb Limb is going to come out here, Pillar is going to come out here, and I'm going to try and do damage. That said, he's going to disarm it, which is going to make me very sad, but I get his trinket again from Blind, which is actually a horrible misplay from Ron there. So he disarms my go, which might have killed the H-Pal. But I blind him, and I guess blind is scary because it's blind and it's very obnoxious to sit in that, especially when all this damage is coming out. So he trinkets it, and I always stun him, which once again, look what happened. Every single trinket. So, just a good go from us, and now we just have to find a way to win the game. Of course, I could die. You can see me panicking here. They get a counter go on my damage. I was staying in maybe 1 second too long because I saw all of their trinkets and I saw that Vanguards was half and Diz was half, and I was like, maybe I could still kill here. It got me into a little bit of trouble, but great peels coming up from my boomkin and great heals from my H-Pal. You can see I immediately dip out of there, run from my life from these guys. Nobody's on me right now, and he sacks me. So I'm going to try and Fleshcraft heal up, and it's time to play extremely defensive because this is where everything gets scary. There's the intimidating shout from my druid. He goes for the knock, but they don't get knocked. Unfortunate, I run away, come back up, try and press chains because I don't know if they're going my H-Pal or me. Looks like they're running at the H-Pal, so I came back up with the chains to get freedom. And at this point, I grip them off. You can see I'm doing everything I can to live. No trinkets, no bubble. I'm just trying to see who they're going and play accordingly. I dipped out when they were going me. I came back when they were going H-Pal because I got chains on both of them, which gave them both, they both needed to use freedoms. Then I grip changed the warrior away again. Of course, he's going to get back again with a leap. Trying to stop all of their go here. I drop zone. It doesn't matter. It's 20%. I say immediately, he rooted them both. Just run. Don't care about the zone. But the fact that I saw that, you know, they weren't going me. I came back in even though they would have been trucking me to press chains on both to try and get away because I didn't want to get lined or Z-axised there. So I came in to press chains on both. We got both freedom. I grip him. I chains again. After freedom goes down, he uses a leap. Now they're both in a route with no freedom, with no leap, which gives us just enough time to recover here. I jump down immediately because, of course, they're going to swap back to me. Again, get away from them because of all the plays made before. Barely live here. Kyrian comes out. I AMS at 10% health left. This is so hard. This matchup is so hard, and they are such good players. But here comes Supa making plays of the game. He rooted them both up there. He clones Warrior over here. Zilia gets a huge heal on me. Fantastic from him. I press AMS and I live. And this is what we were kind of waiting for. So, earlier in this game, we got trinkets. We got walls. We got bubble from both. We got a lot of things out of them. And they have no real mobility to get out. They only use it now to get in. So we recognize this, and this is where the on-demand damage, the power of the comp, the fact that you have Star Surge and Obliterate, 10k, 7k, 9k, 12k, all of these big hits allows you to make very, very potent swaps. So watch what happens here. Vanguards chases. He still wants pressure. Hodge behind the pillar. Dead. And that's situational decision making, right? So, once you've got all their cooldowns, it's time to find a way to win the game. In that situation, we recognized it right off the bat. No trinket, no bubble, full Hodge. Send the damage. And that's the power of Boomy DK. So, what did we learn? First off, your decision making of your CC, your cooldowns, your utility is all very important. There's never a always. There's never a always do this or when this happens, do that. It is based on the flow of the game. This is both your offensive cooldowns with pressure and your defensive cooldowns and your utility. Everything you saw in these games has an example where it could be used in a totally different way from how you used it before if the situation describes that situation. You saw some of them right there. What else? On-demand damage is extremely massive. Find the target with the least amount of defensives, put them in a Hodge, and kill them from 100% health with Killing Machine, Obliterates, and Star Surge. Communicate with your teammate to send that damage. Perfect communication ends up being perfect for kill windows. Don't be afraid to run at healers. They're the things with the least amount of defensives to go through generally. because of the personals of the DPS. So don't be afraid to run at healers and try and set up goes for Hodges, especially against cleave comps where you don't want to get cleaved the entire time. And finally, peel. During your comp that's so focused on those 3-second windows, when you don't have Pillar and you don't have triple Star Surge ready to go in a Hodge, peel. Clone, Root, Chains, Blind, Defensives. So that's Frosty K Boomy for you. It still has the AoE setup goes as you saw. It still has single target pressure as you saw. And that's all the ways you could possibly do the goes to get that off. I hope this video was what you were thinking when you requested me make it. I wanted to give you some content, some video content. I wanted to give you, or some gameplay content rather. I wanted to give you some like predetermined strats before the gates opened, and I wanted to show you a little bit about how the PvP talents coordinate with the damage that we do. If there's any suggestions, please hit me up with them. I haven't done any series really other than my guides or my review videos, so I'm not particularly seasoned in this right now. So whatever you think would be the most helpful, let me know, and I'll just do that for the future videos in the series. But thank you guys so much for watching, I hope, and I hope you enjoyed it. But feel free to tell me what you need to make it better. So, GG's. Peace.